zien. Maar die zijn omgekeerd. Wat is dat? Hi! So? Und auf?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So how was our last week?
Well, very exciting. It was our first week with our camper van. Like you saw last time, we still had a lot of work before we could leave.
So we have decided to stay and put the kids asleep and then clean a little bit everything on their places, find where to store everything, and next morning we started our trip to Paris. Wer ist froh, dass wir fahren? Und da hinten? Du auch?
Normally Luxembourg, Paris is like 2.5, maybe 3 hours drive. But with a camper van, you can't drive that quickly. So actually it was a pretty long drive and a pretty boring drive. But okay, we made it in the afternoon. We arrived there and we had an appointment in the city center.
So directly on the beginning, first drive with the camper, historic small streets of Paris.
It was horrible. It was horrible, and I don't recommend to go with the camper van into the city of Paris. Maybe if you're used to it and you drive it, you've been driving it since a long time and you're used to the size of it. But for me, it was the first day actually that I really drove it, and to drive in the little streets of Paris was not easy and certainly not recommendable.
But we ended up without any scratch.
Yeah, it's still scratchless. So we decided in Paris to sleep on a camping space.
That was the first time that we slept on a camping. There is a shuttle bus from the camping to the nearest metro station, but we had our bikes, so that was really useful, and we had a beautiful bike ride through the forest.
So the Bois de Boulogne is a big forest next to the city center of Paris, and the camping space was completely on the other side of the forest.
Well, we decided to stay on the camping because we wanted to stay central, and finding a parking place in Paris in the center for a camper like that, this size, is pretty impossible. And once you cross it, you arrive approximately around the Eiffel Tower.
And it reminded me, yesterday or the day before, we had crossed Paris with a camper van, which was not the best the best experience. So this time it was better with the bike. However, in Paris they're not used to the big trailer that we have in the back of my bike for the kids. So people were looking and were a little bit...
I think everywhere.
Yeah.
That's everywhere. So people are kind of used to kids sitting behind on the bike
chair.
seat.
Yeah.
But the trailer, that's really a phenomena everywhere we go. And once they see the trailer, that's okay. But then they see that the child is sleeping inside, and that's always a phenomenon.
People are really surprised, and all the reactions all the times, they're really nice and sweet.
It takes a lot of space in our camper van.
That's true, but it's worth it. It's really worth it.
We basically visited the places we really like, and we really like the Eiffel Tower. I don't know, there is something special about the Eiffel Tower. Certainly for the kids, they have recognized it immediately. That's something you see a lot in connection with Paris. So they wanted to see the Eiffel Tower.
And of course the kids saw a big merry-go-round right next to the Eiffel Tower, and they all wanted to go. And we thought we can't take away this opportunity and this experience for the kids to drive in a merry-go-round right next to the Eiffel Tower.
This is merry-go-round. A carousel. Alexander is in such a funny phase now where he imitates the faces. He imitates the faces of us, of animals, of when he sees a picture of animal or person. And it was funny. There was a zebra with an open mouth, and he was just so funny. Wie macht er? Wie macht er? Zeig mal. Then, after a short break at the Eiffel Tower, we continued along the river Seine to Notre Dame, and it was really nice. The area of the Seine was really, really nice.
Yeah, we had beautiful weather. There were lots of people outside.
Yeah, it's along the river. There are a lot of bars. There are and cafes and such a exercise places. And certainly once later in the afternoon or in the evening when people get out after work, it's really it's a nice atmosphere there. There are a lot of people or chatting around or working out or just
running, biking, chatting. Sitting next to the river Seine, having a glass of wine and eating some cheese à la French.
Yes.
Very nice.
So it's a really nice atmosphere there. We did that path by walking when we were in Paris in October. With kids, it's a quite long walk.
It is.
It took us 2 hours before in October, and now it was maybe
20 minutes, something like
half an hour chill bike ride. Was very nice.
So it's really recommendable to have your bike in Paris, or we generally take our bikes to every city we go because it's just flexible, it's quicker than walking, and the kids can sit and sleep and look around.
And if you still decide to walk, you can just park your bike, lock it, and walk.
So then we drove next to the River Seine and up until the Notre Dame Cathedral, which at the time was still like it should be.
Was complete.
Yeah. And then we woke up a few days later with the horrible news that there was a big fire in the Notre Dame Cathedral. So we're really happy and lucky that we could see the cathedral in its old glory.
Yeah, there was a nice afternoon. There is so much to do with kids. At the Notre Dame, you can eat some pancakes with the children. Und was möchtest du haben? Mit Zucker oder mit Nutella?
Was ist Nutella?
Schokolade. Was möchtest du, Zucker oder Schokolade? Oder auch Erdbeermarmelade? So it's very child-friendly city we found. So after Paris, what was our stop after Paris?
Orléans. It's a 1 hour drive by car and 1.5 hour by campervan.
We had a really nice spot there in the nature and close to a lake.
Yeah.
So we really enjoyed a lot of the nature.
it's a small lake where there were some fishermen, and one day there was a fisherman sitting very close to where we parked, and for the kids it was super interesting and very attractive to go and see what the man was doing and to check out the fishes. And the man itself was also very nice, and he started to speak to the kids, and he even shared one of his fish that he caught with us. He just caught them to put them back in the lake. So we of course did the same, but we sent out the kids with a little bowl with a little bit water in, and the man dropped his fish into the little bowl, and it was such an adventure.
Wo gehen wir hin, Sophia?
Ein Fisch da kann ich. Ist da ein Fisch? Nein, kein.
Schaut mal!
Ja, ja.
Wait.
Wow!
Ist er schon tot?
Nee, das ist ruhig. Er hat Angst. Klopf mal an die Tür, Raffi. Vorsicht!
Alex, schau! Lebt er?
Er soll leben, ne?
Alex, schau!
Alex, schau! Fisch! Er lebt.
Fish.
Da hinten.
We also went with the bikes.
As we usually do in almost every city. So we parked the camper van just outside the center of Orléans, and we started our little bike trip, and it turned out to be a very nice town. And we drove through the whole city down to the Loire River, and it's really nice. The problem was that afterwards we had to go up again, and as we have the big trailer and no electric bikes, I had a hard time.
What was for you a problem?
But we kind of made it, so that's the most important.
And there were also such a fountains next to the market.
That was big
And
fun.
the kids had the kids had such a fun there. First they were very careful investigating the fountains, but then they were just running around and they were completely wet. and they just had fun.
And luckily Valentina bought right before some new clothes for Sophia. So Raphael and Sophia shared some clothes and some socks that they didn't have to be completely wet until we returned to the camper van.
So we arrived to and we are in now, and
we'll keep you posted what's coming up.
And you will see more next week.
Bye.
Bye.